"This is a dreary place," muttered Dorn. Ewix looked around and couldn't find a way to contradict his friend's statement. All around them was stagnant water and coarse sand as far as the eye could see. In the distance, gnarled, petrified trees, their twisted forms clawing desperately at the leaden sky above, like silent sentinels of a forgotten age. Before either of them could take in more of the environment, the sound of rushing water came from behind them, and as the two of them turned, they were met with a strange, yet familiar sight. Multiple serpent-like heads attached to a single body, all of them wrangling and wiggling, piercing yellow eyes on all of the heads staring back at the duo. Dorn tightly gripped the grip on his greatsword, and Ewix began to let the magic flow through him to cast a spell. Hello everyone, Manic Monster Masher here today with another video. So I have recently been playing the Dark Souls video games for the 100th time, and it made me remember that a long time ago I bought the official Dark Souls role-playing game book. If you're not aware of this book, it's definitely worth a read. It uses the 5th edition system to build something entirely unique. It is kind of like Pathfinder and 5e squished together. I'm not going to go over it here. If you're interested, check it out. Anyways, I decided to look through the monster part of the book for ideas for my campaign. It is then when I came upon the stat book for the Hydra. Now, something to keep in mind, the Dark Souls Hydra is a pretty tough enemy. And as I looked at the stat block, I couldn't help but feel a bit of deja vu, almost like I had seen it before. And sure enough, it is the exact same stat block from the monster manual. This is a bit of a disappointment. The Hydra in Dark Souls is very different from the type of Hydra portrayed in the monster manual and D&D in general. So I've decided to revamp the stat block. But before that, let's go over the description of the creature. Just so there's no confusion, from now on, unless specified, I am talking about the Hydra from Dark Souls and not any other version of this creature. The Hydra is a creature that has 7 snake-like heads. Those heads are attached to a legless, stingray-like body that has several tails coming from it. That body is built to make it slide through the water with ease. It also has the ability to shoot jets of water out of any of its mouths at astonishing speed. Aside from these features, the Hydra is pretty similar to other Hydras from D&D history and various mythologies. So while creatures in Dark Souls can be self-explanatory in terms of the story, when it comes to theory crafting, there is some pretty interesting stuff to work off of here. So with the abundance of lore and stories in the Dark Souls universe, you would think that the Hydra would have a lot of known information about it, but unfortunately this is not the case. But fortunately, a lot of Dark Souls' story is very interconnected with each other. And that is great for what we're doing here. So let's get started. So firstly, we need to go over the most important event of Dark Souls. The creation of fire and the war against the dragons.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade.
So, as you saw in the intro of the video game, it is suggested that the dragons are all dead. However, this is not actually the case. The first Dark Souls game, in and of itself, features several different species of dragons. Upon defeating a lot of these creatures, the player is rewarded with a dragon scale. The Hydra itself drops one of these scales when slain. This heavily implies that they are related to the everlasting dragons in some way. As some of you may know, the Hydra in official D&D lore is not related to dragons, despite what Tiamat may make you think. But in Dark Souls, I think that the Hydras are a subspecies of dragons. We see this sort of thing in the drakes that you can find in, well, Valley of the Drakes, as well as the Fire Wyvern that you find on the bridge of the lower undead burg. Neither of which look like a true dragon, such as the one found in Ash Lake. I won't spend long on this theory, as there really isn't much to go off. All I could tell you is that in Dark Souls, it was a very valid evolutionary strategy to diversify in terms of the dragons as a species survival, as basically all of the true everlasting dragons are all dead. I believe that the only true everlasting dragon you see in Dark Souls is the one found at Ash Lake, and Seath the Scaleless, but he's technically not an everlasting dragon, some sort of mutant, if you will. So, with that little bit of theory and crafty out of the way, let's get to the stat block. So, as you can see, ironically, I haven't actually changed the stat block that much, as I feel the base stats accurately portray this creature really well. but it was missing several abilities that the Hydra in the Dark Souls video game has, such as its water projectile attack, which reads, the Hydra exhales water projectiles in a 40-foot cone. Each creature in the cone must make a DC 17 dexterity saving throw, taking 3d12 force damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Pretty basic. You'll notice that this does not have a recharge like a lot of Dragon's breath weapons, and that is because in the game it can do this attack multiple times in a row in very quick succession. It also has this. That's right, these things can jump, and very far. This would definitely be a huge surprise for any wizard or magic user sitting in the back of combat. It could very easily close the distance. I hope this goes to show how a simple change can really spice up a monster your players have seen before. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry this one took so long. Unfortunately, I had some things get in the way of making it. I unfortunately do not know what the next video will be on or when it will come out, but I hope that you stay tuned for it. And whatever your favorite YouTuber says at the end of their videos, pretend I said that. Thanks!